All right, now we can get to the real topic. Okay. Now, to be fair, I actually don't really have a topic, but I do have one thing that I think is interesting to talk about. It's something I did see earlier today, and I didn't cover it in my video because I'm not. One, I hadn't read the whole article till just now. I read it a bit earlier. Yacht Club Games is in trouble,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah, I
that's
read. Yeah.
that's rough. And this is coming from like the co-founder, so this is not like hearsay. This isn't a rumor. They talked to Bloomberg directly, and it is. I mean, I don't want to say going under, because he didn't say that was an option that was even on the table. But if you want them to remain independent, so that means there's an option of them being bought on the table. If you read between the lines, he doesn't say it out loud, but that's what he's hinting toward. Is like, hey, if Mina the Hollower, when we finally release it, doesn't sell extremely well, we're in trouble. And that's kind of like the option we have to go. He talked at length in the interview, for those who didn't read it, about how it got to this point, how they banked a little too much on Shovel Knight stuff. And then they were trying to have like 2 development squads going at once. They were trying to expand. That was a big mistake. They should have never did that. So they had to lay some people off because it spread them too thin. How Mina the Hollower had all this support on Kickstarter, but at the time they didn't really think it was like, it was just this fun little diddly do on the side. It wasn't meant to actually be this big primary focus of the company. But after that success on Kickstarter, they had like this pressure to do more with it. And they're very proud of what they're making. They think Mina the Hollower is the best game they've ever made. I mean, he's very clear about that. And he did ease some minds of what people worried about the development of it. They're like, no. We know what all the bugs are. The reason it's delayed is we're trying to clean them all up. So like the game's content complete, everything's done. We got bugs. We don't want to release a buggy game. And if the future of your company is resting on this game, yeah, you're not going to want a buggy game put out there. And to give you guys an idea, he did give numbers about like what it needs to do for the company to be okay. Now they're hoping 500,000 plus. That's what they want. They're in great position. They can stay independent. They can do their thing with 500,000 in sales. If they get 200,000, they'll be okay and be able to stay independent for at least a little while. But it's not like they're out of the clear, out of the woods. It would have to be, hey, we got to get our next game out probably a lot quicker than 6 years, and hope that one also does at least okay. And that's just to barely stay afloat. He said if it's like under 200,000, it's like 100,000. Yeah, they're nope. They can't make it off that. And that's very, very telling, because Yacht Club Games is one of the most respected indie developers out there. Everyone seems to love their games. They love Shovel Knight. They love everything they've done. They have a few other games. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. I'm going to throw it over to the Thunder Stash quick because my fiance just dropped in. She needs me for something. But I want to throw it to you because you are you love the Yacht Club Games. We had the private meeting with them. So I'll throw this over to the Stash.
Yeah. What stage is there? I read this yesterday morning and I posted about it on Twitter. Obviously, like the things that Nate and I know are under embargo. And of course the guys know what they can know, because again, we're under embargo, but obviously I played Mina the Hollower. I did a video on it. And again, like I can't say stuff because of the embargo, but I'll just say, trust me, it's going to be a very special game. And the delay was for good reason. And it's one of those delays, outside of bugs or whatever, you can only have so many bugs. Okay. But it's the type of delay that lets the developers, I guess, reach their full vision on what they set out to do. And so this is a really good thing because the game's already amazing. And then based on, again, what I know, it's going to be significantly more special. So I'll just say, leave it at that. I know it's vague, but you guys know I'm good for my word. And look, I think this game has no problem hitting these sales numbers. Like when I read the article and I saw, okay, you hit 200,000, they said we'll be in good shape. We'll be in good shape, Basically, like we'd like to sell more, but if we do that, we're in good shape. If it's 100, we're in trouble. If it's 500, like we're great, man. Like this is awesome. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I don't know how this game doesn't, sell gangbusters.
Right.
Like to me, it should sell millions. I don't know how many, but it should sell over 1 million. It should sell a few. I don't know what Shovel Knight's numbers are at, but this is a game that can run on so many platforms as well. It's going to be on Switch 1, 2, believe PS4 as well, PS5. So Xbox, not sure Xbox One, but obviously Xbox Series and PC. Steam Deck, like it's going to run really good everywhere. It's going to be a matter of like how good. As I go Switch 2, you can play it at 120 frames if you want, right? You play it on Switch 1, it's still 60 frames. It's just gonna be good everywhere. It's got the art style that it doesn't matter what platform you play it on. It's gonna look really sharp and be super silky smooth. So performance-wise and the amount of reach it's gonna get on platforms, and then I think, guys, like if you factor in the price, whatever the price is gonna be, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they've said. I would presume like $29.99, $34.99, maybe even $24.99.
I feel like I could see it being
somewhere in there.
$24.99.
Yeah. Any of those prices I named, again, based on the things I know, 100% worth it. So based on what I've played and then what I know, 100% worth it. Any of those prices, any of them. So if it's 25, if it's 30, it's 35. I mean, totally worth it. So I kind of walked away from reading this like, you guys are fine. Like, I understand your caution as a business owner and the stress that you're under right now to get this game out the door. And also you have the 3D Shovel Knight being worked on. Then of course they have the Shovel Knight, Ultimate Collection that they announced last year, which I did ask Celia about, and that's still something that's being worked on, but Mina is first. That stuff will come after. So that's still coming too, and I think they're going to be able to rake in some dough on that as well. Because Shovel Knight came out so long ago that you could re-release it as a complete collection on modern consoles and tap in to a whole different age group that wasn't there before. Because it was so many years ago, this is going to be new to a lot of people. And then, of course, some of us who've been playing for a long time might want to pick it up, right? Because they're going to be adding new stuff to it, a considerable amount of new stuff to that Shovel Knight. So to me, they're going to rake in money from that. It's going to help a lot. But I think Mina sell over 1 million. If it doesn't, I think it'd be tragic because the game and pricing and for what you're going to get, again, from what I know, is going to be 100% absolutely worth it. And this game, it just has a lot of charm. It combines a lot of great games that we love. Like there's almost Souls-like elements in the combat, like in a weird 2D way. It's got the Castlevania, of course, style combat, a little bit of Legend of Zelda in it. Like games we love, games we really value, IPs all put into one, and then it's being made by a company that, of course, we love. They have the pedigree for it. Gamebird, I know you love them. So what are your thoughts?
Sorry, muted. Yeah, I've talked about Yacht Club and what the company means to me on the pod before. This company is really special to me because Shovel Knight was, despite having played and loving some indie games before Shovel Knight, Shovel Knight's the game that really turned me into an indie gamer. I have my Shovel Knight huge first four figure statue on a shelf over here. It's one of my favorite first four figure statues of all time.
Yep.
Colorful. I just love the character so much. I love every version. I've played all the Shovel Knights. I love them all. Plague Knight, King Knight, or Spectre Knight. I love them all. Amazing with you know, you get some of the world design of Mario 3. You get some of the boss styles of Mega Man and gameplay and so many cool things. It's such a special series, and this is just such a talented group of developers. Mina, since it was kickstarted, has been my most hyped indie game of all time because of my love for Shovel Knight, because of the caliber of developers behind this. So I've been, I know, we're going to be talking closer to the end of the year about Fantasy Game Critic. This is a game that I've nominated every year for Fantasy Game Critic for 3 years in a row now. That's how much I believe in this title. And you know, I don't know all the things that Stash and Prime know when we went to PAX. They're the only two who got to go and meet with Yacht Club, but from what I've seen and from what I got to play, I really know this game is going to be special, and I can't wait to see more of it. I don't know if we have plans to have, I know we were supposed to have Celia on to kind of, promote the game and talk about what makes Mina special. I don't know if that's something that we rain checked on that we're going to redo. I really hope we get to have Celia on.
I believe so.
Oh,
I
awesome.
think that's the plan. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that was
because anyone in the audience who watches our podcast, or whether I know there's not many of you, but whether you're a Game Bird fan or you're one of the thousands of Thunderstash fans or Nintendo Prime fans, if you've never played a Shovel Knight or you're Mina curious, like, I hope there's an opportunity with Celia to really show you what makes Yacht Club special, because I think Mina's really going to kick some ass. And you know, I can't sing enough praise of the Shovel Knight games. They're just fantastic. I am
you're so great,
dying to see what they would do in the 3D space. Like, I'm so curious. Like, do they go like 64 style? You know, do they keep that retro vibe? What you know, are they going to make it look more like something that you'd see from Platonic? But that being said, this is a release I'm really looking forward to. It's definitely one that I'll be covering on my channel, because this is a game that I want to, you know, like Prime. This is a game that I really want to sell and succeed. I think I, like you said, Stash, I'd be curious to know how the Shovel Knight games sold.
Well, I just looked it up. So they haven't given updated sales numbers in several years.
Sure.
But in 18 months, let me see. Yeah, 18 months, it hit 2 million. So, and that was in April 2018. It had sold 2 million. It's been 7 years. People are still buying this game. You know, it's a really good deal.
That's the caliber of the game. I mean, Shovel Knight's made it into Ukulele. He's made it into Smash Brothers. There's another game. There's another indie game that he was in. Was it not Rumbo? Maybe it was Rumbo. I forget.
I think it's a fighting game.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That indie fighting game, I forget what it's called. Brawlhalla? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yes, I think you're right about that. So, just quality games. I like I said, I can't speak enough about how much those games mean to me.
Well, you know, one thing that I just have to say for anyone who hasn't played it, okay, Shovel Knight. If you've ever played DuckTales on the NES, one of my favorite games, like, Shovel Knight uses his shovel in the same way that Scrooge McDuck uses his cane to poke a stick. Yeah, there's so much DuckTales like elements in Shovel Knight, which is what initially drew me to it, you know, over 10 years ago when it came out. I'm like, oh my God. Because, I love DuckTales. And to get something new and it has that retro look and the platforming looked really sharp. And, there's like collectibles in it and the actual combat in the game and the boss fights, giving off that Mega Man vibes too. I'm like, even more Capcom love, DuckTales, Mega Man. Like, this game looks freaking awesome. So that's a game that I've owned on several platforms. And when they come out with the Shovel Knight collection after Mina, I definitely picking that up.
I hope Yacht Club, when they promote Mina, I hope there's mention of Shovel Knight, from the creators of Shovel Knight, because if that game sold 2 million, we all, sounds like all of us who have played it absolutely love it. I mean, he's one of my favorite new video game characters. He's become somewhat of an indie icon. So I think that name carries a lot of weight to it, to move units. So I hope it's promoted, from the team that brought you Shovel Knight comes a brand new epic adventure, Mina the Hollower. I hope they do some of that stuff because people care about that. It's like when you hear about a new movie and it's from an acclaimed director.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, oh crap, this guy made, when people are going to get excited for the new Odyssey movie, because people are going to see, from the creator of the Dark Knight trilogy and I forget the Dream one that he made. Jesus.
Well,
Inception.
What I mean, yeah.
Thank
Inception.
you.
Yeah. Look, Celia's she's a marketing director. And in my time with her, I didn't know her. I don't know her outside of the time that I met with her. She's very sharp. I would expect her to do exactly what you just mentioned. I'm sure that is part of the game plan because, yeah, that's your pedigree, man. This is how we know you. Like, this is literally what put Yacht Club on the map is Shovel Knight. So, yeah, you should say that. And again, she's a sharp gal, so I would expect that. But when we have her on, you should definitely mention that.
Yeah. Because if you guys don't know, we are planning to have Celia on whenever they're ready to do the promotion tour for when the game comes out. Right now, there's no release date. But we've kept in touch because she was originally supposed to be on back in October when it was supposed to come out end of the month. So we're actually part of the promotion tour for this game. And normally, we've never had a guest like that on and come on for like a promotion tour for a game. But after me and Stash got to go behind the scenes with that, holy shit. This is absolutely a promotion tour I want associated with the Nintenbyte podcast. This game's incredible. It needs all the eyeballs. So like they're saying, hey, it's not a known IP, right? So they're even worried about this is a company that made Shovel Knight, sold 2 million in less than 2 years, and they're worrying about keeping the company afloat with 200,000 sales on their most recent game. It kind of lets you know how far they've kind of fallen off from those days. And to be clear, when you read this article on Bloomberg, if you guys want to look up like Yacht Club Games Bloomberg, you just Google that. It'll be the first link. One thing I do like about the co-founder is he doesn't blame anybody else. It's solely him and a couple of people at the company's decisions they made since that game came out that has led to this dire situation where like they need their new game to do 200,000 or they can't even stay independent. One, that's a scary position to be in for them, coming off of where they were the highs of 8 years ago when they're floating, they're flying. We have millions of sales. Things are great. Our company's got tons of cash flow. Let's start doing 2 teams. Let's make some other Shovel Knight stuff and maybe some other new ideas kick around. Then eventually we kick Mina the Hollower around and it becomes this much bigger project than we planned for it to be. But maybe we should have been that way the whole time. Maybe we should have backed off of the Shovel Knight stuff and just focused on this a lot sooner, because we can't rest. Like it felt, reading the article, it really feels like they feel like they rested on their success for too long, and we're too afraid to go all in on a new project.
Yeah, use like I said, just use Shovel Knight. They need to use Shovel Knight. The gravity of that game, that series to promote this game. I just had like a recollection of like, I feel like when Metaphor ReFantazio, a brand new IP, Game of the Year nominated Metaphor, when that game was first announced in the trailer, I was like, I'm pretty sure the trailer said from the creators of Persona. And so I just pulled it up just to check, because Persona didn't explode till 5, despite 3 and 4 being critically acclaimed. It didn't explode into the mainstream till 5. So having on this trailer for this brand new IP for a brand new franchise from the creators of Persona 3, 4, and 5 is huge. That is a hype generator. They need from the creators of Shovel Knight, King of Cards, Spectre Knight, and the Shovel Knight series comes a brand new adventure with a brand new character, and people will pay attention. Stash, you said it sold 2 million copies. That's 2 million people
in 18 months.
Pay attention.
Yeah,
in 18 months. That's insane.
I
People
think,
need to associate this with that team.
Here's the thing. We know firsthand, there's a demo out there. You guys can go play the demo. You can see from the demo alone how high quality this experience is and what they're trying to do. And there's things we know about the game we can't talk about that are just blow my mind that they're doing some of the things they're doing with this game. The ambition of this game is crazy. Obviously, we don't know if the full execution is there. We don't have the game on hand. And a lot of the stuff we were shown, we weren't able to go hands on ourselves because, again, it was all in development stuff. But I think it's interesting because Yacht Club Games has been an industry standard name now for a decade. Like, everyone knows them. They're well known. They're well established. They're the Shovel Knight guys. Using Shovel Knight to promote the game, I think, is just an obvious ploy. But I also think, like, if Shovel Knight has sort of lost popularity over the years because they've made other Shovel Knight stuff that hasn't done as well, it's possible that there is some. And I think this is what they're fighting right now, is the concern that they were a one-hit wonder. Which happens in music, happens in video game development, happens all the time. One-hit wonders where you really only have the one game that blows up. Nothing else ever really gets back to that. I don't believe that Yacht Club Games is that kind of studio based on what I've seen of Mina behind the scenes. This game looks just as much, if not better, than Shovel Knight ever was. But it's a completely different kind of game, so it's not really fair to even compare them. But it will obviously be compared in some regards just in terms of game quality because, again, they made Shovel Knight. Like, yeah, it makes sense to compare to some prior stuff they've done. So I have no concerns about how good the game is. The only concern is just, will people buy it the way they bought Shovel Knight? And that I don't know. Because I know they said they only need 200,000 to stay independent. 500. Like, I think they're going to get the 200,000 personally. I'm not really too worried about that, but they really want 500,000, dude. I want millions for this game.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too.
I want millions. I know they're being conservative
based on what we know.
Yeah, based on what we know, like they want, obviously they would like millions of sales too, to be clear, but they're trying to be like, I'm sure they don't want to come off as like greedy and being like, oh yeah, we need this game to do 2 million. Like, no, realistically, they could still float on 200,000 sales. They're going to be doing pretty well and okay for their next project at 500,000, which, by the way, their next project is 3D Shovel Knight. So if you want
Shovel of Hope DX.
Yeah, the DX as well.
That's coming out this year.
He talks about in the interview how, like, when they're done with this and like that collection, which I guess the collection is, further along. I don't know. The interview indicated it's pretty far along. So, like, probably won't take much more development time to wrap that up. They're focusing all their attention. The plan is, anyways, assuming things sell okay, their plan is to focus everything on a 3D Shovel Knight. Now you're going to look at that kind of Mario 64 transition and see what they pull off with that. And I have, based on at least the Shovel Knight games I played and based on Mina the Hollower, I have pretty good faith they can make something great, but it's always one of those concerns. We see plenty of one-hit wonders out there that they will advertise like their music or their movies or this or that by mentioning that they made this last thing, and then it still doesn't work. So I would say in their position, I was wondering why he did this interview right now. And I think this is also part of the marketing. They want to let Shovel Knight buyers know, hey, we're in fucking trouble. And we got to stop beating around the bush about this. We don't want to drop this game, have it be a 90+ rated game, and have all these positive things said, but then we only sell 50,000 units and we're out of business.
Yeah.
People who bought Shovel Knight need to know this is our next masterpiece.
Well, the other thing we got to look at too that I think is really important, and I think it plays into why this article came out. I'm sure they're aware of all these great games that have come out that, despite getting great review scores, haven't sold gangbusters. Like Visions of Mana has sold like 40,000 units. What the? Are you serious? That's crazy.
They decided to close the studio before the game even came. Like they knew it wasn't going to sell well, which is insane.
Yeah, because it's a great game.
But they knew before the game released, they laid off the studio.
I remember.
Like, you knew this game, and the thing is, they were right. The game didn't sell well. Like as much as we,
but it's a great game.
I know we give all the flack for the layoff, right? But we know it's always the financial decisions. And then the game didn't do well financially. It's like they knew it wasn't going to do well. And the thing is, I'm not disagreeing with you that it's a great game, but it's one of those things that like they were right that it wasn't going to do well. And the question is, why were they right?
Well, it sold way under.
Way under.
No, like way under all the other Mana games.
Yeah, not even
the lowest selling Mana game by far. And it shouldn't be because it's like,
dude, some of those children of Mana
think it's the best game.
Yeah,
outside of Secret of Mana.
Be the worst.
The Visions of Mana released on Switch.
Well, no, and that's part of the problem.
That's part of the problem.
We had talked about it last year about this coming to Switch 2. Like it needs to. They need to figure out how to get it there.
Easy shoe and Switch 2, and then the studio
having
before it even came out.
Having an RPG like that not come to a Nintendo platform is a huge.
I think it could have did 40,000 plus sales alone right now on Switch 2.
But it needed to come to Switch 2 because it's not a game that's going to run on Switch 1, or if it did, it's going to be bad performance. Yeah. So, Switch 2 wasn't here yet.
They could hire a port studio. It still could happen. But that's not going to bring the old studio back. It's not going to bring that talent back. This is one thing I appreciate about Nintendo is how little they care about all these games. Like if let's say the next 3D Kirby game drops, right? And it bombs. It doesn't do anywhere like Forgotten Land. It does like 1 million sales for some reason. Just people just hate this thing. Does anyone think anyone on that Kirby team is getting laid off? Are we worried about that talent leaving Nintendo just because that game didn't sell well? No. Because they compensate for the games that don't do what they want with the ones that massively exceed their expectations, that do better. And Nintendo, people get mad at them for this. They sell all their hardware for a profit too, which is not what the other companies do. So they like to make money on everything they sell. It allows them to have these risks. It allows them to try things that might not work out. It allows them to invest in Bayonetta 2, 3, and Origins. It allows them to tell Platinum Games, hey, look, we want to get this new IP, Astral Chain. It allows them to hire From Software to make the Dust Bloods. These are all risky moves that could backfire, and Nintendo could lose millions. But they can do this because of how they manage their company. And I keep bringing this up not because Yacht Club Games is in that position. I obviously are not. They're an independent studio with like one massive hit. But it's one of those that like, I'm tired of a great game comes out. Like if Mina the Hollower comes out and I fucking love it and think that this is like a top tier must play for anybody who appreciates old school kind of games, old school Zelda, Secret of Mana, those kind of games, like the vibes you get from that demo, If you're the kind of person that loves that, here we go talking about vibes. But the feeling you get from playing that demo, if it's like right up your alley, like I think it is for me anyways, based on my experience with it. And I'm like, dude, this game is excellent. And it only sells like 100,000 copies, and Yacht Club Games has to announce they just sold to Microsoft or some shit. I'm going to be so fucking pissed off. And I'm not even, to be fair, it's Yacht Club created all their own problems. So like they're self-creating the financial problem. I got to give them credit. I always got to give credit for them not pointing fingers at anybody else. They mismanaged themselves and they know it. But I'm going to be so mad. Just like when the Visions of Mana developer went under before the game even came out. I'm like, dude, this is just bullshit.
I gotta say,
what about
I hate the
Prince of Persia game. Why the fuck is that team gone? That game's like a fucking 9 out of 10 easy.
I hate to interrupt. I did not know they closed down that studio that made Visions of Mana. Very sad. I'm very sad about that because I'm a Mana fan. And is it like the Mana series? I'm like trying to read about it. Is the Mana
it's not
series
the Mana
now?
series. It's just
that team.
Yeah, they lack vision, you know.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So I just worry about I never like hearing about a studio that made a game I enjoy going. I don't like studios going under in general, to be honest. But I never like hearing about a studio that I know has a banger game coming out and like they're hanging by a thread. And they're basically this whole article, and I know they probably didn't intend for it to be this way, but it does come across when you read the full thing, as I did during the show, as this guy's basically saying, please buy our game. He's basically begging you to buy Mina the Hollower. That's why it's the whole reason they did this interview. They want to let people know we're in trouble. We fucked up. We're not blaming anybody else. Please buy our game. It might work, by the way. I think it's part of the marketing tour, because look at what we're doing now. Look at the Nintenbyte podcast with the thousands of viewers we get. They're hearing about Yacht Club Games and Mina the Hollower, which we literally were probably not even going to bring up again until Celia came on and we had a release date and everything.
Yeah.
Now here we are talking about it now. Again, we don't have permission to talk about any of the stuff we were shared with privately. I would love to see the veil lifted on that at some point, because we would definitely, Stash and I will do a huge topic on just that, because we were showing some crazy shit. Yeah. Don't have any footage of it. That's okay. We don't need footage. We have our minds. We know what happened. We know what was going on. We know what they're going for, and it's pretty wild. I
hope people support this game. I really hope so. We lose so many great teams, so many great series.
Yeah, dude.
I'm even thinking about. You mentioned Prince of Persia. That's a great one. With that team that made that team at Ubisoft that's gone now. But guys, Hi-Fi Rush too. What a game! That game's one that rad.
At least they're somehow still around. They somehow survived.
Yeah.
But
dude, we need a Hi-Fi Rush on Switch too. That's another one that should be on Switch too. That would sell best. It would thrive. I
wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft hired that studio to port it. Even though they have this tendency to hire the studios they just cut. You know, like Toys for Bob, you're gone, but now we're going to hire you to make something. It's like, okay. You just don't want all the risk. I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
We don't actually want the studio closed. We just don't want to take on all the risk of the studio. But you guys want to be independent, will be your first contract. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a contract to bring Hi-Fi Rush to Switch 2. Because I think Microsoft even recognizes, hey, we can get some sales of that on Switch 2 for sure.
Yeah, hire them all back his contract. Don't give them any benefits.
Yeah.
Give them the absolute minimum. Microsoft's pros at doing that.
Low risk. Yep.
But
it does, in some cases, like Toys for Bob acted pretty excited about them getting that contract. It must be all right enough. I think the contract, if Toys for Bob did it smart, the contract that they got to make that next game for Microsoft, they put a kicker in there where we get a % of sales every time. Because then they want to bank on that, being how they can go on and do their own projects. So that's the way it should work out. I think the Hi-Fi Rush people, if they're porting it to Switch 2, they should get a percentage of the Switch 2 sales. I think port studios in general should probably get a %. If you put in the work to bring it there, your studio should get a % of those sales. I know that's not how it always works. A lot of times it's just a signed deal, X amount of money to make it happen. That was the deal. You got paid, right? And I get it to a point. But we all know that fair compensation isn't exactly always at the front of these contract deals. And it also relies on the people running these port studios or running these independent indie studios to not make greedy decisions. You know, they get the big Microsoft fat check. How much of it do they keep for themselves instead of actually using it to pay people?
Yeah.
You know, you got to worry about that. We all talk about the big companies and how they hoard money at the top. Don't kid yourself. The indie studios have this problem too. You got to be careful out there. Some of the indie studios, the person at the top has all the money and the people below are barely paying the rent.
Common.
Yeah, very common. It's just a greedy, selfish mentality. And it kind of sucks that it permeates in all walks of life and in all professions. So